Good day, Dara. It's an honor to have this interview also on behalf of the other members of the JORS committee. We've got a few questions from the people who follow us on our social media. And the first question that I really want to pose to you is, how does EURETINA create the program for their congresses? And do EURETINA members get any input in this?
Okay, thank you for talking to me. Pleasure to be here. Yes, we absolutely do look to our membership to help build the Congress program pretty much. The program for any given Congress, it's about a year in the making. So we open abstract submissions around November. Only members can contribute with abstract submissions. The program committee then evaluate everything that comes in and ultimately make the final selection of what goes forward for inclusion. They take into account score, obviously, and also if it's a recurring module, they'll look at previous performance as well, which they will take from delegate feedback. The only exception to that process is the EURETINA sessions and the keynotes. So that would be channel 1 content or the main auditorium in a live context. For those, they tend to have the most critical cutting edge updates. So for those, the program committee would tend to hand select experts to curate a session on a given topic. The goal is ultimately to build a program that appeals to a global retina audience. So we would break it. I think there's about 7 key subtopics across retina that we break it down into, make sure that they're generally represented, and also that there's a balance of some level of balance between surgical and medical interests as well. So you could say the program, it's basically built by members, and then from year to year, it's perfected through delegate feedback.
Yeah, that sounds quite impressive. I can think that it's a real job to get it all work for the yearly conference.
Yeah, there's a lot to it. And then when you discover last minute that it's going to be virtual as well, that adds a little extra sting to the tail. But no, there's a lot of work and a lot of expert input involved, and the program committee and the board take a huge host of that work on themselves.
Yeah, that's clear. And then the second question we received, do EURETINA use different approaches to get in contact with their members? So have you got several approaches for young versus old or male versus female? Could you just answer that question? Sure.
This is something too that's evolved in recent years as social media engagement has grown. There's always a place for regular email. That's something that will always be there. But we've definitely expanded across social media platforms. We have a presence across pretty much all of them now. And we've introduced too on the EURETINA website, the forum, which is a interactive networking space for members. So that's a new element as well. I wouldn't say we separate really across gender, but we do separate out our communications with yours, the under 40s, young retina specialists group, just to keep that communication more relevant. And that's a huge representation for us now. It's over half of our membership. We would separate that out on occasion. We've also increased the number of surveys that we do just to make sure that what we're doing is relevant to the needs of the community that we're doing it for. In terms of age, that is something that we were curious to see as social media grew, how it varies across the different age categories. So last year we did our first community digital survey, and the findings of that then helped to inform how we carried forward our comms thereafter. So I think we had over 70% of under 44-year-olds that responded were using social media every day. And then that reduced to 43% for those over 55. So you did see a little bit of a drop off in the older demographic. social media channel preferences, we also queried that across the community, and Facebook was definitely in the fore. And then I think that was followed by YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So it helps to inform how we prioritize our own communications. And we'll be doing another survey this month, actually, that will just kind of give us a steer for 2022 as well.
Yeah, and I can think that also those different types of social media provide information on what members tune in. So I could think that that also can be really useful to optimize that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it's an area that, you know, it's primary for us now, where 10 years ago it just didn't feature at all. So you just have to keep an eye on it, keep adapting and responding to where we find the demand as we go.
Yeah. And another question, has EURETINA invested more recently in terms of virtual visibility and social media? You already answered that question a bit, but maybe additional information can be provided.
Yes, we've invested pretty heavily in that over the last 12 to 24 months in our digital presence. A key point in the EURETINA Roadmap 2025, which was launched under Professor Frank Holz's presidency last year, that was the key goal of that was to establish EURETINA beyond its by now successful Congress and to improve our digital offerings across the whole year. So to do that, we needed state-of-the-art digital assets in addition to top quality educational content. So the first step was we knew we needed to do a digital overhaul. To do that, we engaged third-party experts in tech transformations to come in and tell us how to improve and expand what we were already doing. The current president now, Alistair Laidlaw, this is a really high priority for him, is this digital piece, and he's launched a very ambitious plan that will see a monthly output of top-class educational content. This winter, we will start with webinars, which will include case conferences, debates. We're also introducing podcasts as well, which will be interesting, and Journal Club as part of that as well. So there'll be a lot more activity, a lot of change, lots more developments, and again, all with a view to just reinforcing EURETINA as a year-round educational resource for its community. Yeah,
that really sounds interesting. Thanks a lot, and I'm happy to hand over the virtual microphone to my colleague Yousif Subhi.
Hello, Dara. It's an honor to talk to you and do this interview on behalf of the Yours Committee.
Thank you, Yousif. Glad to be here.
So one of the things that I've been thinking about is, how do you aim to provide a podium that is large enough for EURETINA sponsors?
I guess I see this as something that's pretty easy to achieve. Now, especially now that we're launching more educational streams than ever across our digital platform, and they'll be year round. So that being a change in the last couple of years, where all the emphasis previously was on the annual Congress, that's now shifted. So I think that the platform and the podium has actually gotten larger, really. And yeah, sponsors won't be limited anymore to that single highlight of the main Congress. There'll be lots of other activity throughout the year that they could be involved in. I think a key role will be the independent medical education too, where content that we put out will be multi-sponsored, industry independent, and you know, completely evidence-based. But yeah, it's been a strange couple of years, and we've had to adapt and pivot, and the industry have had to do that with us. We got the first virtual Congress out last year. We regrouped together with the industry after that to see, you know, what changes we might need to make to suit them in terms of platform features, sponsorship and networking options, because obviously you're on this endless search to try to replace that missing element of the face-to-face networking at especially for the industry at the exhibition. But we made adaptations that have helped, and they seem to be quite happy with the second virtual congress that we did. So it's the last 2 years. It's been a challenging time I suppose in our world, well, in everyone's world, but it's been a challenging time in the Congress context. But we've learned an awful lot, and we're hugely grateful to the sponsors who supported us the whole way throughout and made it possible for us to continue in the absence of a face-to-face meeting.
I think many of us are really looking forward to the real-life conference in Hamburg in 2022. Will everything be the same again when there is a real-life conference, or will there be differences?
Yeah, I mean, the idea of back to normal is a pretty tricky concept to process after everything that's happened. I think everyone is really excited at the prospect of returning to the buzz of the Congress again when it's safe to do so. And we certainly hope that will be, we feel we made the right call this year with going virtual for last month's Congress. But yeah, I think next year everyone will be ready to meet up again in Hamburg. I think there's been a lot of positive takeaways from what we've had to do over the past couple of years and the changes we've had to make. I think hybrid is likely the way forward, and certainly will be for EURETINA 2022. We've so much detail that we still have to work out for it, but it's really exciting to think that we will be back to the hustle and bustle of a face-to-face Congress, and equally exciting to think that there's opportunity in maintaining a virtual Congress, virtual element with it. I think there's a benefit to both the society and the retina community by having our face-to-face Congress, but also allowing for the content to be streamed worldwide and in real time. So yeah, for me, I think the idea of hybrid, challenging as I'm sure it will be, is definitely a very exciting concept for next year and quite likely for the future.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. And I think I speak for all of us when I say that we are really looking forward to EURETINA 2022.
Brilliant. Me too. Thanks, Yousif.